Good morning. We should start. Okay. My name is Huwaida Amouriye. I'm the Director of Collection Management at the Lebanese American University, and I'm here today to moderate this session. We will start with the session is titled Technology and Artificial Intelligence for the Cultural Heritage Protection. The first presentation, Sheikhu, as per the father Luis Sheikhu, who was a Père Jesuit, and he was very prominent. And I think Dr. Habib Brahim and Father Dr. Roni Lejmayel will have a lot to tell us about Sheikhu database. Okay, just to give you a brief introduction about our speakers, Dr. Ibrahim Habib is a research associate with the Religious Conflict and Mobility, Byzantium and the Greater Mediterranean 700-900 project at the Eberhard Karls University of Tübingen, where he is researching the early Melkite canonical collection. He holds a PhD from l'École pratique des hautes études de Paris, France. His main research focus has since been on the authors and translators of hagiography in Antioch during the 11th century. يا ويلي شو صعبين. Father Dr. Roni Lejmayel is a Lebanese Maronite Jesuit priest. He graduated in civil engineering from the Lebanese University before joining the Society of Jesus, les Jésuites. He holds a PhD from the Instituto Pontificio Oriental in Rome. He is the director of CEDRAC, Centre de Documentation et de Recherche Arabe Chrétienne. He also teaches at the Higher Institute of Religious Sciences at USG. Dr. Brahim and Father Jmayel, the floor is yours. أهلا وسهلا.
Thank you. Thanks, Huwaida, and thanks for the organizers. And it is for us, it is a big occasion because it is the first time where we speak about Sheikhu. It's the coming out of Sheikhu. So I will speak a little bit about the background.
البوديوم تحب تستعمل البوديوم؟
It's okay. Okay. So. Okay, great. So our presentation will be short, and the text that will be published will be longer than that. So we'll try to limit ourselves to the time that that is put on our disposition. So I will speak about I will give the introduction, and afterwards Habib will continue. So for the background, I will tell you that in the year of 1898, Luis Sheikhu found the Revue Al-Mashri in Beirut. Among diverse subjects, Al-Mashriq published the Christian Arabic text edited by different collaborators. And a few years later, Sheikh started to publish longer Christian Arabic texts, mainly the chronicles of Chronicle of Ibn al-Rahib, and then the Annal of Eutychius, and the Historia Universalis of Agapius of Manbij. These are just a few of publication of Sheikh in the field. In 1905, Georg Graf, who is a Deutsch priest, published a first schism of the history of Christian Arabic literature. And in the foreword, he highlighted the fact that Al-Mashriq was the only review regularly publishing Christian Arabic texts in the field of philosophy and theology. Later in his Geschichte, which still is his a major work on the Arabic Christian literature. So he stated that Al-Mashriq, which he used to read and to improve his knowledge of Arabic, was the source of inspiration for his magistral work, that is the Geschichte. So Graf was keeping up with all the Christian texts published in the Arabic world. And here it is not the focus to speak about all what the Graf made. But we can say that in the meantime, Sheikh started to publish a sort of dictionary for the Christian Arabic authors. And he published first his text in Al-Mashriq, and then he put it together in his book, famous book, known as كتاب مخطوطات النصرانية كتاب المخطوطات العربية لكتبة النصرانية. And then, after that, between the 1914 and 1988, I want to point out the work of Hermann Tolle and Spischens, thematic bibliography they published 10 years ago. So again, the project of Samir Khalil, and another Jesuit, are also worth noting here. In the late 70s, he created the collection Patrimoine Arabe Chrétien, PAC, and this collection is still under publication. Today, this collection has a total of 40 volumes. In 1991, Samir founded the Centre de Documentation de Recherche Arabe Chrétienne, CEDRAC, in Beirut. Afterwards, this center joined the USG, Université Saint-Joseph de Beirut. The aim of the center is to highlight the Arabic Christian literature heritage in religious and cultural field. During many events, Samir announced his intention to publish and update the Geschichte of Graf. It was a huge work. He indeed translated into Arabic, but the text has never been published since Samir wanted to update it. It is not surprising that the project was not completed. This is the Skise of Graf, and then those are the publication of Sheikh in the Al-Mashriq. This is Samir. And this is the collection of the التراث العربي المسيحي and the creation of CEDRAC. Okay. I will finish now to tell you that the initiative of a massive digitalizing of the Christian Arabic text started in 2016. A list of edited Christian Arabic texts was established. After all these texts were digitized, we moved to unedited texts. From this initiative, then, was born the idea of an interactive database for the Christian Arabic literature. We decided to call it after the forerunner in the field, Luis Sheikh. We will use the different project of CEDRAC to provide the metadata needed for the database. Habib, you can continue, please.
So I will tell you a couple of words about eShaykho, our portal, and then I will guide you through a demonstration, how to use it. Okay, so first I will tell you that this portal offers two ways to surf the database, a classical one. So as a reader that if you don't have any idea about the subject, but just you're curious to have some information about Christian Arabic literature, who are the authors, what are the texts, what are the subjects that they talk about. So this is a classical one, just go to the website and click on buttons. The other one is a research-based surfing, more for scholarship. So the classical surfing offers user a structured and intuitive way to navigate the database. On the homepage, users are greeted with a clear layout and internal links that direct them to specific sections of interest. Whether they are interested in exploring the authors, works, manuscripts, bibliography, or guidelines, a simple click takes them to the relevant page. Research-based surfing, in contrast to classical surfing, it offers user a more targeted approach to accessing information. Users who have specific queries or are looking for particular content can utilize the search functionality to find what they are looking for. The research-based surfing options both include simple and advanced research. Simple research provides user with a classic search interface where they can enter keywords or phrases to retrieve relevant results. This option is ideal for users who have straightforward queries. On the other hand, advanced research caters to users who require more precise and refined search capabilities. This option allows users to apply filters to tailor their search queries and narrow down results based on specific criteria. Advanced research is available in 4 modules. Authors, by applying filters such as century, ranges, confession, place of birth, of death, and other criteria. Works, so this is the second module, works by applying filters such as date ranges. Third module, manuscripts. Fourth module, bibliography. So please do that. Now I will show you a demonstration how to use eShaykho. So this is the home page where you can just click on buttons like authors, edition, manuscripts, bibliography, and just take a look inside. After that, so if we go to authors, we can just enter the name and apply the filter, and we can click on the name. For example, here we have Theodore Abu Qurra, who lived in the 9th century. As we go further down, we see these are the titles of his works and the bibliography. Then we can go to one of his works and check here the editions, the references, and then the manuscripts that have the text. So we can also click on the edition to see in this edition what other text we have also. So for example, here we have the edition of Constantine Basha, in which we have like all the works of Theodore Abu Qurra. In the works, we can just enter the name of any work that we are aware of. For example, في تثليث Allah al-Wahid, and we can have all information, the edition, the bibliography, and the manuscripts, okay? Then we can also go to manuscripts and see a list of manuscripts that we used in the database to have our text, or at least we've referred one work to this manuscript. So you can see further to the right where in the manuscript we have the work on which we're working. So this is the simple, let's say, navigation. Also in the bibliography, you can type any keyword and then you will have the bibliography. What we've done for internal researchers who are working through the network of the University USG, they can click on the bibliography and they have access to the PDF through the DSpace of the university. So if you're willing to visit the university for scholar reasons, you can get access through the connection of the university. After that, we have the advanced research system where you can apply more filters. So if you're probably looking for an author who lived in the 9th century or 10th century, you can just apply these filters, as you can see. Or, for example, if you know his confession, he's probably Greek, Orthodox, or Catholic, or Jesuit. So you can just apply this filter and you will have the name of the authors. So as you can see, further to the left. For example, here we are doing the filter 9th century, and of course, we'll only get 3 who are Greek and lived in the 9th century. In the works, you can enter either title, but also combine it with name of author, date of publication, if we're aware of any date of publication. Then we have the bibliography also, where we have different filters by type. So if you're looking for a paper or a book or a chapter of a book, and also you have a list of the author names. So if you just look for any author and all the bibliography that we have, you will have all the titles and you can click, get the PDF to read it. But as I said, due to copyrights, it's only accessible through the university's network. Also in manuscript, we can filter by country, city, repository, font. So yeah, whenever we apply. Phase 2 is a project that we are currently working on. So in the database, you have the text of the authors when you can search for a word. But we're going further with a project with the University of Louvain, a project called Gregory, when you can not only get a result of words, but also parsing. So this is Al-Arab, for example, in Arabic, and where and in which works we have this word and compare the different contexts and analyze one word in different contexts, different usage by different authors. Okay, so this is a work in progress, and hopefully this parsing will be available for everyone very soon. That was it.
Thank you, Father Jmail and Dr. Ibrahim. And the next session will be online, and it will be, can we prepare it? She's ready? Okay. So the next session is titled Cultural Alignment Formats for Decentralized Autonomous Institutions, Transition, Governance, and Synthesis on New Ideas with Rapid Technology by Hannah Katarina Shabani. I think Shabani, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me later, please, Hannah. Hannah Katarina is from London, UK, and has an academic background specializing in media, broadcast, and digital communication at the Brit School for Performing Arts and Technology. And she has a BA with honors in creative direction from Istituto Marangoni School of Fashion, as well as a decade of work experience in luxury retail. Her book of research or operational plan forms the basis of the creative agency 4.0 Productions. Hannah, the floor is yours, please.
Marhaba, thank you for having me speak at the conference. Just double checking that you can hear my audio and see my presentation.
We can hear you and we can see your presentation. Please proceed.
Fantastic, thank you. So thank you for having me speak at the conference. To introduce myself, I am an artist and a researcher working in digital strategy and interactive storytelling to create immersive spaces for learning and merging art and digital realms together. My research began in early 2021 when it started out of necessity, when I realized I had a lot of experiences within the creative institutions and organizations, and I wanted to contribute to evolving forms of creative media, but also how these new forms of mass media can look like in the future, and how voices are platformed, which speak the stories of the present moment, which in my eyes is cultural heritage. So the images you can see here are generated on Midjourney AI. And to the left, it's what it looks like in the early generations. And to the right-hand side, you can see the later versions of my prompted idea for the digital mirror. And this is a theme in my work. So in this presentation, I will try to simplify my concepts so that it can be understood easily and symbolically, much like a piece of art. The paper I have written for the conference theme is a thought experiment, and it begins in context with the art sector and the creative industries. However, the nature of the subject, it looks through the digital anthropology lens, and it can be applied to social sciences, where history of art and cultural heritage merge as an indispensable part of larger society. So please take a moment just to read my title and hypothesis. I am using the word institution here as a way to describe something away from a commercial lens. So in the words, like the words business, company, and I am looking at something more integral, essential, a crucial part of larger society, which is why I use the word institution. Blockchain has a lot of buzzwords and technical terms, but we as researchers actually need to discuss and unpack these words. This could apply to small businesses or non-profits that are archiving, like a library, who are specialists in protecting cultural assets, for example. From the conference yesterday, the Sursuk Museum could become a DAO, or even a hybrid part DAO, or a sub-DAO as part of a larger or more all-encompassing DAO. All using the same blueprint that has more power and autonomy on its assets, which are protected in the digital space. So this is a step further, giving the institutions power with the new technology. The DAO stands for Decentralized Autonomous Organization, and systems can be more tamper-proof in a decentralized web where accountable nodes can vote either not or in favor of actionable decisions. As custodians of knowledge, archives, museums, and libraries, they fall into the category as being essential, crucial part of larger society. So the NFTs, think of them as cultural objects or assets. The metadata can be formed as part of an asset on the blockchain as part of a functioning DAO ecosystem or model. A painting, an object, a service, or a building could be an NFT with all the paperwork tagged onto the stamped digital certificate. So this could be complete with a visible open source verification of ownership. And here you can see a few more utilities cases for NFTs. So institutions can use DAO technology. Institutions could be ideal candidates to transition into DAO technology, especially those who offer grants for digital workers or intersectional researchers to develop their practice for larger projects where a community is involved. Assets could be something like money, space, mentorship, travel, materials, or equipment. Not just the cultural assets themselves, but the things that contribute to the preservation and the exploration of those cultural assets and historical artifacts. In the thought experiment, instead of leaving decisions to a theoretical centralized board, digital entities who are part of the wider or global membership system can vote on any aspects of the institutions, including where the assets are being allocated. The most important thing that you can vote on decisions as a collective entity. This is the concept. So here are some functions of a DAO that can be easily implemented now through existing tools and a simple onboarding process. The DAO is relatively well documented already, but has not achieved full legitimacy just yet. An art museum can work as a DAO where all assets are part of a treasury, and instead of a centralized entity governing it as a business, you have an entity of the interest of the community. So it allocates accountability and shares or stakeholdings on a more horizontal approach, where the members can submit and vote on proposals which they think are the most high priority. So the digital layer of the institution, this becomes the digital layer. Through DAO, imagine combining the jurisdictions. So whether that's local, national, or international, it can be scaled with an integrated foundational layer of digitally backed policy with which the blockchain could facilitate. With risk management taken into account, we can learn a lot from the NFTs. But the next phase of blockchain could look different, especially with emergence into AI tools and powerful algorithms. Solution-based architecture can be built with existing accessible tools. So this is a quote from the opening night of the Marina Abramovich takeover in South Bank Centre in London. Dorner is a notable art curator of his time, where he would make immersive spaces for learning about cultural heritage. And I can see some similarities in my thought experiments. So the Mona Lisa can be used as an example. Cultural heritage has multiple stacks and multiple sets of layers. So the data that the scientists extracted using layer amplification method from the painting became a cultural journey depicting the storyline to discovery, an extraction which is only visible digitally from the physical painting. So this is the unique intellectual property, which is difficult to grasp as a concept. It slips through your fingers like sand, okay? So this is a text taken from the research paper on the LAM method used on Da Vinci's painting, and it depicts the cultural impact that the metadata has on the storyline and the history of that artifact. So you can see the significance that this data actually had. So as a juxtaposition, we can analyze the dystopian conspiracies in the risk assessment, and humans are adjusting to new forms of mass media and digital communications at the moment. So from an anthropological perspective, cultural assets are visible in the mass media all the time when they are communicated through these dominating platforms. So as a result, we see the proof of the existence of these assets, and this also needs to be documented in the metadata as well, especially in the case of what's happening at the moment in Palestine and the genocide. So social media accounts are part of this cultural documentation. Those consuming the content online should explore the functions of these cultural practices. This is an anthropological stance looking at platformization. So my paper explores an essay about platforming and perspectivism through the work of Ziantonio. It's through perspectivism that we perceive the platformed body. So platform workers such as Palestinian journalist Bisan Ouda's words inform us and deeply shake us, all from the confines of her Instagram account. So just the same way that our souls are confined within our bodies. So increasingly, it's becoming more like a plastic container to hold us in. And the centralized platform itself, it becomes a form of constraint, as evidenced by the shadow banning and censoring, which is currently happening. So can Meta or platforms like Meta take on a more horizontal approach for their visibility display settings? Platforms are known to share fake information, so they do not reflect the true reality. And these layers of forms of digital artifacts could provide the evidence with the metadata. So the unique IP and more metadata. What if all the cultural metadata is... I think I can hear the translation. So you can extract analytics from mass media and how viral certain subjects can become. So to discuss in online spaces the types of reactions it brings, what people are saying, what are the trends. You can upvote an object or a proposal using your contribution, time, effort, interaction, participation on these platforms. Everything that the IP interacts with on its journey through these platforms. So the utility apps in our day-to-day lives, the social network platforms, all create this metadata. The technical terminology must be translated from machine to easily understood human language. So if we look at this paper on solidarity primitives for DAO workers, which I referenced properly in my research paper, it talks about having on-chain investments and off-chain investments. This means, although my paper is in the context of art institutions or Web3 art platform projects, it could be branched out to further sectors to have impact towards better working conditions for researchers or digital nomads who form the basis of this digital communication. It's for things like emergency relief to protect workers who are contributing, such as Bissan's work. So an article of association document is a guide to processes that need to be enacted within a company entity, and this is for UK company law. So decision-making in the company can be fully digitized using autonomous smart contracts in the blockchain. So blockchain networks such as Tezos actually already implement these voting protocols where developers and stakeholders can vote on which changes are made to the ecosystem and how the blockchain registers its transactions and smart contracts. So when we mirror this kind of form of establishing a company entity into a digital mirror, you can make these processes automated and more secure. So it needs application to real scenarios. The digital mirror, it's a thought experiment that provides a more global approach to policy, rather than having to just fall under the policy of a single failing or potentially corrupt jurisdiction. So where multiple countries are involved, the framework could work as a blueprint that enables interoperability between these countries. And if a business is, it enables interoperability between these countries, especially if the business is stationed in the digital realm. So more feedback is always needed. The DAO contains the cultural assets and artifacts, as well as the digitized bodies, the people. So it creates a treasury for that DAO, and the governance is established through voting protocols. Cultural media workers, digital workers, and modern art workers are often paid minimum wage or nothing at all. And they can rely not anymore on the willingness to contribute freely or contribute out of survival. So the democratic tool for blueprinting the preservation of cultural heritage urges for a more global policy for protecting digital workers and digital preservation workers, not just the assets themselves. So the thought experiment shows that the blockchain integration enhances the protection of assets. Legitimate users who have history backed up in the metadata could be well-established accounts or critics, voices in the community, qualified with verified badges, who can form the foundational basis of this solution architecture. The voting can be backed and supplemented by the metadata, which shows proof. There's a great need for assets to be preserved on a digital framework, which should be designed to stand the test of time. There must be a collective global effort, starting with the local institutions and scaled up gradually. The United Nations and the Lebanese cultural heritage is a great application and starting point for such initiatives. So that is the end of my presentation. Shukran, thank you for listening.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And our next speaker رح أحكي هلأ بالعربي لأنه صديق عزيز على قلبي. بقدم لكم دكتور سيف الجابري من جامعة السلطان قابوس في عمان. سوف يتحدث عن التقنيات الحديثة ودورها في دعم وتحقيق أهداف هيئة الوثائق والمحفوظات الوطنية في سلطنة عمان. هذا البحث هو بالمشاركة الأستاذ بادي، غير أنه غير موجود معنا اليوم. فدكتور سيف مستعجل كتير، حيبلش قبل ما أنا أعرف عنه. Just to let you know that Dr. Saif al-Jabiri holds a doctorate in economics, information management and documentation from the State University of Management, Moscow, Russian Federation, and a Master of Information Science, North Carolina Central University. He attended more than 100 conferences. وين ما نروح بأي مؤتمر بالخليج، برا، بلبنان، وين ما كان دكتور سيف موجود. So that's why I welcome.
حتنقي
كل الناس بتقول لي وين ما نروح بنلاقي لها دكتور سيف. سو اهلا وسهلا فيك بلبنان، وتفضل.
شكرا جزيلا. شكرا هويدا، شكرا لكم جميعا، شكرا على حضوركم وعلى تقشمكم المشاركة في هذا المؤتمر، وشكرا لجمعية المكتبات اللبنانية على دعوتهم ولمنظمة الإسك وعلى استضافتهم و يعني دعمهم لهذا المؤتمر. موضوع حديثنا إن شاء الله تعالى راح يكون عن هيئة الوثائق الوطنية في سلطنة عمان واستخدامها للتقنيات الحديثة في حفظ ومعالجة الوثائق العمانية. طبعا قد نستغرب أن في دولة مثل سلطنة عمان، يعني الأسرة الحاكمة فيها الحالية حكمت منذ منتصف القرن الثامن عشر، أن هيئة الوثائق تبدأ متأخرة في 2007. يعني أمر يدعو للاستغراب، خاصة أن حجم الوثائق الموجودة حجم كبير جدا. مما حدث بي أنا شخصيا في دراسة الدكتوراه أن أختار هذا الموضوع، فكان موضوع بحثي ودراستي عن إنشاء وإدارة الأرشيف الوطني العماني. وأنا طبعا فرحت جدا لما تحقق هذا المشروع، لأنه كان يعني تطبيق نظري، تطبيق عملي للدراسة النظرية، والحمد لله يعني استفاد منه القائمون على هذه المؤسسة، وما زلنا يعني نتابع عملهم ونشارك معهم في فعالياتهم وفي تطوير الهيئة والمضي قدما بها. هذه الدراسة بالاشتراك مع أخ عزيز وزميل وأحد طلابنا الأستاذ وليد البادي، يمكن بعضكم يعرفه ولم يستطع الحضور. وأردنا من هذه الدراسة أن نستشف مدى تطور التقنيات التي تستخدمها الهيئة في معالجة الوثائق العمانية. طبعا الهيئة كما أسلفت أنشئت في 2007، ويعني كان تأسيسها تأسيس يعني صحيح جدا. فبالإضافة إلى القوانين التي شرعت بداية مع إنشاء هذه الهيئة اللي تضمن عملها بطريقة يعني مهنية وطريقة ممكنة، أيضا الهيئة عمدت على تأهيل الكادر المتخصص حتى منذ قبل أن تنشأ على أرض الحقيقة. فقد بدأ إعداد الكوادر مع إعلان مع صدور مرسوم تأسيس الهيئة، وفتحت أقسام في قسم المكتبات معنا في الجامعة، فتح تخصص الوثائق وفتح قسم متخصص في كلية خاصة، وأيضا تم ابتعاث العديد من الكوادر الجديدة إلى معهد التوثيق العالي بجمهورية تونس للإعداد، وبعضهم إلى معهد آخر متخصص في إيطاليا لنفس الغرض. وتم إعداد كادر يعني متخصص ليقوم بالمهام القادمة، ليس فقط في الهيئة بل حتى وفي المؤسسات الحكومية التي سوف تنضم إلى منظومة الحفظ الوثائقي. واحد من المشاريع أنا راح أخطي هذه الشرائح لأنها تتكلم عن الموضوع، عن الجانب النظري في الدراسة، وأدخل مباشرة إلى صميم الموضوع. واحد من الأشياء المهمة التي تقوم به الهيئة، أو من الأدوار المهمة التي تقوم بها الهيئة، ليس فقط يعني معالجة الأرشيف الإداري يعني المستمر. طبعا مع إنشاء الهيئة صدرت قوانين تشريعية وقوانين يعني مهنية تنظم العمل، وتم الاتفاق مع كافة المؤسسات المنظومة الإدارية بالدولة، وأنشئت قوانين الفهرسة وتصنيف الوثائق وقوانين الحفظ، وتم تدريب وتأهيل العاملين في أقسام الوثائق والأرشيف الوسيط في المؤسسات الحكومية على استخدام الأنظمة الجديدة وعلى الالتزام بمدد الحفظ. طبعا العملية عشان تكون سلسة يحتاج لها وقت طويل، لأنه يعني حتى في المؤسسات التي بدأت بتطبيق هذا النظام منذ ذلك الوقت الحين لمدة 15 سنة تقريبا أو قريب من 20 سنة، يعني عملية الحفظ للوثائق الإدارية مستمر، وفيه بعض المعالجات وبعض التطويرات. هذا الشق الآخر هو الاهتمام بالوثائق التاريخية، سواء التي كانت في حوزة الحكومة الإدارية أو الجهات الإدارية، أو في حوزة الملكيات الخاصة للمواطنين. وقامت الهيئة بجهد كبير حقيقة في دعوة ملاك هذه الوثائق، سواء كانت وثائق أو مخطوطات أو أي نوع من أنواع التراث الأخرى، في أنهم يعني يمكنوا الهيئة من أنها تستلم هذه الوثائق، سواء كانت عن طريق الإهداء أو إذا لم يرغبوا في إهدائها للهيئة، بإمكانهم أنهم يحتفظوا بها في أمانات الهيئة. فوفرت أمانات خاصة وخزائن خاصة للوثائق الخاصة لحفظها طبعا بعد معالجاتها، بعد تعقيمها وترميمها وترقيمها أيضا، أخذ نسخة رقمية منها. في حالة أن الشخص أو المالك لم يرغب في حفظ هذه الوثائق في الهيئة، تقوم الهيئة بهذه المعالجات وتأخذ نسخة رقمية بالاتفاق مع المالك، وبعد ذلك تعيدها له في حوافظ يعني مهيئة ومتخصصة لحفظ الوثائق لفترة أطول. ومن فترة لأخرى يقوم متخصصون من الهيئة بزيارة هذه الحافظات والتأكد أنها يعني ما زالت ملتزمة بظروف الحفظ، وإذا كانت تحتاج إلى معالجات أخرى تقوم بمعالجتها والقيام باللازم لها. طبعا هذه الخطوة بحد ذاتها يعني كشفت للمتخصصين في مجال البحث كم هائل من الوثائق اللي كانت يعني غير معروفة كانت في حوافظ خاصة. وطبعا كما تعرفون كل واحد عنده وثيقة يعني قد يكون يحافظ عليها كما يحافظ على أبنائه وأهل بيته، خاصة إذا كانت هذه الوثيقة مهمة أو موروثة. فكان حتى الإفصاح عنها كان يعني بعض الأسر تتحفظ على ذلك. لكن لما وجدوا تطمينات من الهيئة وبدأ الناس يتوافدون على الهيئة، وخطوة مهمة جدا قامت بها الهيئة أيضا، كانت تقيم معارض سنوية للوثائق، وكانت تكرم الأسر أو الأشخاص الذين قدموا أو قاموا مخطوطاتهم إلى الهيئة، سواء كان نسخة رقمية منها أو لحفظها أو إهداء. كانوا يكرمونهم أمام الملأ، وهذا شجع كثير من الأسر أنهم يعني يسارعوا إلى أنهم يعني يعرفوا الهيئة بما لديهم من مخطوطات و يعني يطلعوهم عليها. وفي بعض الحالات حتى إذا كانت الأسرة مثلا تتحفظ على إخراج هذه المحفوظات من خوازنها، كانوا يبعثوا فريق متخصص يقوم بالمعالجة والتصوير، وهذا في منازل هذه الأسر، مما يعني يبعث لهم طمأنينة. ونحن واحدة من الأسر اللي الوالد الله يرحمه ما سمح أن يخرجوا الوثائق فقمنا باستدعاء الفريق إلى المنزل وقاموا بالعمل يعني في المنزل فيما يتعلق بحفظ ورقمنة الوثائق. ومثله كثير يعني كبار السن، يعني هذه الوثائق بالنسبة لهم خط أحمر، خاصة إذا كانوا يعني هذه الوثائق تتعلق مثلا بالإرث الأسري أو الإرث القبلي أو ما شابه ذلك. يعني قد يكون بعض الأحيان يعني حتى إتاحتها لأفراد الأسرة تكون تحت شروط صارمة وقوية، فلا نستغرب من ذلك. وأظن هذا ما ليس في عمان فقط، هذا في كل دولنا العربية وفي كل دول العالم. طبعا واحدة من الخطوات المهمة أيضا إتاحة هذه الوثائق للباحثين. يعني الهيئة الحين تتيح هذه الوثائق للباحثين أبون ديماند، يعني أي باحث يحتاج إلى أي وثائق في أي موضوع معين أو عن أي فترة زمنية محددة، تتاح هذه الوثائق له بصيغة رقمية. أيضا واحدة من الأشياء المهمة اللي قامت بها الوثائق هي التواصل مع دور المحفوظات العالمية واستجلاب الوثائق التي تخص سلطنة عمان، كالأرشيف البرتغالي والأرشيف البريطاني والأمريكي والفرنسي والأرشيف الفارسي والأرشيف التركي أيضا. وقاموا بجمع وثائق يعني والأرشيف الزنجباري أيضا، لأن فترة من الفترات كانت زنجبار تحت يعني حكم الإمبراطورية العمانية. فيعني هذا أعطى قوة بحثية وعلمية لمخزون هذه الوثائق. وطبعا شجع الباحثين أنهم يتواصلوا مع الهيئة ويعني يستفيدوا من هذه المخطوطات. المعالجة الفنية لهذه الوثائق في تطوير مستمر. الهيئة تحرص على اقتناء أفضل ما يمكن في عملية تعقيم وصيانة وترميم الوثائق ورقمنتها. وطبعا الحين استخدام ال AI أيضا أضاف بعد جديد فيما يتعلق بمعالجة الوثائق، وأضاف لها يعني بعد تكميلي خاصة في الوثائق التي تحتاج إلى عناية أكبر وإلى جهد أكبر فيما يتعلق بترميم المقطوع منها أو توصيلها أو ما شابه ذلك. في الختام الهيئة مهمة يعني تقوم بخطوات، أنا سبقتك، الهيئة تقوم بخطوات مهمة فيما يتعلق بهذا الأمر. ويعني أنا أرجع للوراء الحين وأنا أروح للأمام. بخطوات مهمة جدا فيما يتعلق بحفظ الوثائق وترميمها، وتستمع دائما للمتخصصين في إرشاداتهم وفي يعني توجيههم. وإنجاز آخر أيضا يعني يضاف إلى الهيئة هو محاولتهم اعتماد نظام واحد متكامل لكافة الجهات الحكومية وللشركات التي تملك الحكومة فيها نسبة كبيرة فيما يتعلق بالأرشيف الجاري والأرشيف الإلكتروني. شكرا لكم جميعا، وأرجو أن تكونوا قد استفدتم منه بعض. شكرا.
شكرا دكتور سيف. بس قبل أنا نسيت أذكر أنه دكتور سيف هو رئيس اللجنة الإقليمية للشرق الأوسط وشمال أفريقيا في الإفلا، فحبيت نوه بهذا الشيء.
شكرا.
يا أهلا يا أهلا. هلا our next speaker is Dr. Dannawi, and Dr. Eli Dannawi, he will talk about digitization for the protection and dissemination of religious cultural heritage. Dr. Dannawi serves as an associate professor of digital humanities and as a director of the Digital Humanities Center at the University of Balamant. He holds a PhD and a master's degree in history from the Pontifical Oriental Institute in Rome, Italy, and a Master of Educational Technology from the University de Poitiers, France. He pursued postgraduate studies in computer science at the École Nationale Supérieure de Mécanique et d'Aérotechnique, Futuroscope, Paris, France, en France. Voilà.
Poitiers.
The floor is yours. Poitiers. Voilà.
Thank you. Good morning. Today I talk about the prototype of a digital humanities project dealing with a medieval church and Amyun and Kura. So it's about the digitization for the protection and dissemination of religious cultural heritage. So it's an example of what we can do digitally with a built monument like a medieval church. So the outline, I talked a little bit about the site, then the project itself, and I will use the word DH as abbreviation for digital humanities. Then the heritage protection and the dissemination strategy that we adopted in this prototype, this project. The site is in North Lebanon, and it's a village known for its historical and historically Lebanese houses. And one of the projects in our center, we identified and documented around 250 old houses in this village. يعني بنصحكم تزوروها، حلوة كتير أميون. And one of the parts of this village, we have an unknown church. It's a medieval church surrounded by houses. And this church is witness of several historical periods and archaeological periods from Roman to Byzantine and lately medieval. In this project, this is the current status of the church from the outside. And as you see, the inside of the church is little bit neglected, or although the DGA, مديرية الآثار, they did some consolidation, some restoration in the building, but it's still in a bad situation. So what we did in this project, first, the objective was scientific in the sense of advancing the digital humanities research and in cultural heritage. And the other objective is more grand public. It's how we can feature this site for the public. We worked first on the documentation of the building and its content. Then we worked on the digital restoration of the building, since this church is classified and we cannot interfere in the physically in the building. So this is why we brought the church into our lab in the university, and instead of working on the physical restoration, we worked on a digital restoration of the church. And the last part will be about the dissemination, how we will share this with the public, with the audience. For the documentation, we adopted a technology based on AI, artificial intelligence. It's known as photogrammetry. So it's based on moving from 2D photos into 3D model that reflects the real model of the monument. And we took, this is a video, I don't know if it will play. You can play it, please. Yeah, what you see here is not a photo of the monument. It's a rendering of the 3D model. As you see, the reconstruction of the surrounding of the church. It's a digital model. It's not playing. Okay, forget. Then it's not moving. Actually, this video is playing, but slowly, because this is a frame from the video. Okay, next slide. So we did the 3D modeling of the church. So practically, we have a clone of the church, but in a digital format. And based on this clone or this model, we can apply many techniques in order to, for example, full documentation with detailed measurements of the architectural element of the church. For example, here, as you see, we have a cut of the church, and we can take accurate measurement of the components. This is another coupe, for example, and the result that we reach here in this documentation are the most accurate result compared to what is documented in scientific articles so far. This is another video, so we have to skip it, please. Yeah. Here, for example, we have some sections and coupe from this church, and compared to what we have in the DGA, we can see easily the difference between the current documentation and what we reach in this project. The restoration is divided into two parts. The exterior of the church. This is a photo that we found in France. It was taken in early 30s. And it is witness of some elements that used to exist in the church, and today they are no more there. So this is why we used the archive, the visual archive of the church, and collected many photos from around the world in order to implement them and to restore the church to its original status. Here, for example, we can see from the outside, we have a modification that took place in the church in 1922. As you see, we have the squarish shape around the altar, and this is the original one. And this is based on scientific research that we did on this type of architecture, and we were able to implement the scientific data from research to the model itself without changing the physical church currently. And here you can see the previous, to the left of the current states of the church, and to the right you can see what it is supposed to be or what it used to be. And we did the same, for example, for the facade of the church, and we came up with a hypothesis of the existence of an annex to the building, and we were able to implement it digitally. For the interior, practically worked on the wall painting on the fresque, and we have first we removed all the fresques or the wall painting from the church, and we started from scratch. So we applied what we have already, what remained, and we were surprised to discover that we have 2 layers of fresque, and now we're working on separating those 2 layers in order to suggest 2 virtual visits to the church, so we can see each period, the Byzantine and the medieval period. We restored one of the icons. This is in the apside of the church. One of the colleagues was an artist, he an architect. I think Amir Salim. He worked on the restoration of this icon, and actually it's implemented again in the digital model, so you can see it using the virtual reality. For this dissemination, our strategy is the following. First, we create a mixed reality model using VR, so you can visit this church remotely and have the experience with all the digital restorations. I have 2 minutes. Okay. The second dissemination option or choice was the Google Art and Culture. So practically we created a virtual museum on Google. It's called Morphe. Morphe is a Greek word, stands for form or shape. So practically under this virtual museum, we host our exhibitions. So as you see, for example, we have till now 3 exhibitions. One of them is the St. Phocas Church. Another option or choice for the dissemination, in order to facilitate the visit, because sometimes with people who are not ready to use VR, so we suggested something hybrid. And in the fall semester, we will open an exhibition on campus in Balaman. Actually, it is divided into 5 sections. In the first section, we'll have a room dedicated to the manuscripts copied during the painting of the period where the church was painted. So practically from the 13th till 15th century. So you have the manuscript exhibition. Then in the second part of the exhibition, you will have a 3D print of the architectural elements from the church with real scale. So practically you have like a physical experience with the building, with the monument. And the third section, you will have a 3D projection of the restored part of the church with all the making of and before and after. Then in the fourth one, you will have like digital screens featuring animation about the history and the content of the church. And then the fifth one, you will have a VR zone where you can use your VR. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Dannawi. Thank you. Very impressive presentation. Thank you. So now the floor is open for questions and answers.
Hello, my name is Chantal Sfre from USG. My question is to Dr. Dannawi. When you spoke about we, your team, Dr. Dannawi. I'm here. You spoke about we.
Yeah.
Your team must be a mixture of different skills. Can you just tell us how many skills there were to be able to do what you have done?
Yeah, it's a nice question. Unfortunately, we're not many, but we are multidisciplinary. By training, as myself, for example, so the team is not mainly we have one architect, Amir Salim. He is an instructor in Alba, Académie Libanaise des Beaux-Arts. Plus, he's an artist. And another colleague, Nadine Shamma, who is she is in charge of the dissemination and mainly the Google Art part, and myself. So practically, we are three working on this. Sometimes we have some assistance from graduate students, and but basically the core of the team for this project, we're three people.
I have a question for you. Do you collaborate with the librarians in Balamand? Not really.
In this project, no, because they don't work on such things, but we have other collaboration with them related to the manuscripts, to the documentation, to the library work. But for this project, it's a prototype that we're aiming at finalizing it in a way to be like a model to follow in order to feature a monument, such a church, a religious building, or any heritage, because it took us a lot of time to come up with, to fine-tune the method in order to be doable and with low resources, because practically it was financed by the university within our salaries. So practically we did not get any extra money for this, to do this. It's from our workload.
Thank you, Dr. Dannawi. Any other question? Okay.
Shaza Jamal, American University of Beirut. I just want to ask about eSheikho for Dr. Ibrahim or Dr. Abu Naroni. Is it open source for all, or we need permission or an access through the university?
So till now, the site is not public, and when it will be, so to have access to some functionalities, you have to be in the USG or having a address from the USG.
Thank you.
Arif Shawan from Qatar National Library. I've got two questions, one for Dr. Dannawi and also another one for Hannah. So I'll ask the first question for Dr. Dannawi. First of all, impressive presentation. Congratulations on the hard work that you've done.
Thank you.
Now that makes me think about the future. So this work must be preserved for the future generations of users. And also, and perhaps there is more than, there's scope for collaboration with the library beyond just the manuscripts to really sort of make it part of the intellectual property of the institution. So have you given it some thought about how to preserve this? I mean, this is a combination of software, research methodologies, and very kind of, complex sort of, digital object.
Yeah.
And this must be preserved and safeguarded for the future generations. Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you. This is the main concern, actually, not only for us, we share the same concern, but practically it's a research question, an open research question about the sustainability of the data. And for the time being, for example, we have solutions for already for the textual data. We're using the plain format like the TEI, and the implementation of TEI using XML as flat languages. This is okay. It's fine. It's well established for the texts, but for the other artifacts, for example, like data related to not metadata, but the data itself, the metadata, no problem with it, but the model and the interaction, how you keep this alive as not only as a model, a 3D model, but as an interactive paradigm. Till now, I would say that it's not yet a solved question. We still have a lot to do in order to assure this level of sustainability of those data. Unfortunately, institution like ours, we are aware of this, and we're trying to find solution, but it's still an unanswered question. I don't know if you have something that can contribute in this, some ideas, but so far, I don't think that we reach this point of securing such digital ports.
Okay, so the last question, we have to go to the coffee break. You have a question for Hannah Katarina?
Yeah, I'll just
If
make it
she's
quick.
still with us, she might
sure.
answer you very quickly. And please, we have the coffee break immediately after Hannah's answer. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you. So this is a question for Hannah. Once again, thank you for the presentation. It's rather enlightening. So you mentioned that the metadata plays a crucial role in the DAO framework. Now, looking at the current metadata formats and schemas that exist within the library domain, at least, are they sufficient to capture this additional sort of nuances that are required for the DAO framework?
So I think that the technological tools will start to develop, and when you add AI into it and these complicated algorithms, the data becomes very nuanced and layered. So I think that a wave of more open source data or tools should or will become more important to achieve a level of transparency so that these microtransactions and this unique storyline of IP that these digital artifacts are interacting with through these platforms will become more available so that we can utilize that microdata for the preservation of cultural heritage. I hope that answers the question.
Okay, thank you so much, Hannah Katarina, and good to see you here. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Coffee break.